So what I want to do out here today is go through a full pre-practice, pre-round warm-up, give some structure, a little bit of guidance into what I think is important. And again, it's different for everybody because we all have different physical limitations in movement. We all have exercises we like and don't like, but when it boils down to the end of the day, we're here to get better at golf, and the easiest way to get better at playing golf is to get better at moving. And once you get better at moving, it's going to translate itself into that with the right practice. So I want to present this as if I'm just walking up onto the driving range. What I have with me here is what they call, it's a Randy Myers stretch pole. This has been with me through my entire career. Back in probably 2007, I had this, or I purchased this back in 2007. It's been with me the whole time. It's always in my bag. And the cool thing about the Randy Myers stretch pole is back in 2006, USGA made a rule that you could keep this in your bag and it does not count as a club, and that you could actually use it during competitive play. And I think the rule that I know the rule is 14-3, but I will post a link for that or a photo so you can see the rule so that you know that you can use this. They are a bit pricey. I think this right here is like $150. I don't get paid anything for that. So you could also go with a broomstick or a dowel rod or something along those lines. But this is the Randy Myers stretch pole. It's telescopic, so you can go to any height you want, which is really cool. So to start off, I'm just walking out on the driving range. I got some buddies to my right, buddies to my left, or some strangers, doesn't matter. I just want to start out with some basic leg kicks. Nothing fancy here. We're just doing some dynamic leg kicks. I like to do things about 6 to 8 reps. I mean, you never know. Field goal kicking competition breaks out. Who's going to be loose? Who's going to be ready? We are. And then we'll switch to the opposite side. So I'm just sitting here chatting it up with my buddies, just kind of laying out my day, getting ready to practice, getting ready to play. It's just something that you got to feel comfortable with when it comes to warming up. So that's the front to back. That's going to be, that quads and the hamstrings. So then we're going to go across the body. So across the body, we just dynamic leg kicks each direction, back and forth, across the body, getting the toe to turn up each direction, which is going to help rotate the hip each way, 6 to 8 reps. And then we're going to rotate across the opposite side. Again, toe up each way the best you can. Let the hips rotate as you go, 6 to 8 reps each way as we go that one. From there, I'm going to take this. I'm just going to extend this out a little bit. Out in front of me, feet, we're in a neutral stance. Hands on club. I'm going to drop my hips back, press my torso out in front, my arms out in front. Try to keep my back fairly flat as I go. And I'm pressing back, and you can see how my feet are kind of coming off the ground. It's because I'm dropping my hips so far back. And then I'm going to go each direction, keeping my head over center, right to the left, back to the front, making sure that as I go down, I'm dropping my hips back each time. Again, this is going to be that 6 to 8, as you're going to see for almost all the exercises that we do today. And when I do this, a couple notes to think about if you choose to add this to your warm-up. Club is pointed slightly inward, so when I push away, it actually pushes away, creates a resistance that direction. Also, as I rotate to my right side, which I'm a right-handed player, so that's going to be my backswing, I'm going to drop my head down center, keep my back flat as I go, as I rotate, but then I'm going to use my right arm and just press away to help get a little more stretch, a little more extension in my left arm. And I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to do the same thing going that way. Still, my lower body is stable. So here, drop my head down center, use my left arm to press away this time, stretching out my right arm, getting good rotation in my torso to stretch that. So from a face-on view, forward, right, and left for that exercise. Now, the next one, we're going to get the shoulders loosened up. So what I want to do is focus on a certain position with the arms. So the arms are going to be about 90 degrees. If I was to place the club, when I place the club on my head, 90 degrees. And I'm just going to lift that up from there and keep that grip the way it is. So from there, just a neutral stance. And I'm just dropping my arms back as far as I can back down, as far as I can back, and back down to my quads. Just stretching out the shoulders as I go. Arms extended, club overhead, getting it back as far as it can. Again, we're going about 6 to 8 reps for each one. Now, we're going to take that shoulder stretch and upper body stretch into what we call the overhead deep squat. Now, with the overhead deep squat, that's actually an evaluation technique that we use in the gym to determine a lot of full body movement and positions to see how good of the positions that we can get into for that. So we're going to check that. What we'll do here is we're going to take the club back to that 90 degrees up. We're going to lift this up above the head, and we're going to try to squat down as low as we can possibly and still keep that club above the head. All the way back up, squat down, keeping the club above the head, squat down, club above the head, just really working on that move. Keeping that up as high as you can, as far back as you can, about 6 to 8 reps as we've been doing from there. So that's going to be your overhead deep squat. I am a big fan of the overhead deep squat. I know through TPI and all the studies they've done with the overhead deep squat, and all of the athletes that were tested, they found that 99% of all the players that couldn't perform an overhead deep squat early extended. That doesn't mean that 99% of players that early extend can't perform an overhead deep squat. There's a movement part of it that causes an early extension, and then there's a motor pattern part that creates early extension. So I want to differentiate between those two. But for me as a fitness performance coach, it's important that I work with my athletes to make sure that they can do the overhead deep squat. It's so good for the golf swing. It allows us to make sure that you're moving in a lot of different areas. So we spend a lot of time on that. Now, the next one that we're going to go into is going to be, I'm going to shrink this down here. And to give you an idea on height, I'm 6'1". This is right about hip height right here. So give you an idea. Whatever you have that's for the right now, going forward to hip height, probably a driver or something like that. You could use that also. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go into like a wider stance right here. I'm going to place this across my hips. You do not have to use that. You can set that down. When I go into this wide stance, I'm just going to rotate my hips. And when I do that, I'm going to keep my legs extended. I'm going to rotate as far as I can to my right side. I want to rotate my hips as far as I can to my left side while keeping my feet flat on the ground and keeping my legs extended. So we're going to go through the internal rotation and the external rotation of both the right and the left hip to make sure that we're nice and loose throughout the hips, because our lifestyles, they really cause us to tighten up. It's unfortunate, but it is the way it is right now. So we want to go side to side from here. And you can notice that I'm not falling back when I do that from here. I'm just rotating, keeping my legs extended, rotating side to side. Again, 6 to 8 reps each side when I do that. Now we are going to add a little dynamic portion to that. So from here, feet wide, lower body fairly stable. I just want to get some torso swings here. Get my torso going nice and smooth. Lower body staying somewhat quiet. We'll add that momentarily. 6 to 8 reps each side. Just like this. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the lower body portion to that. So with the lower body portion, I want to see the feet move, hips move each direction, hips moving, letting your body move, trying to get a nice little sequencing going from the lower body all the way up, side to side. And again, this is more of a horizontal plane that we're doing, more horizontal. Now, before we get into the more vertical plane, we really need to get a little more lateral stretch here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to get a wide base. Now from here, I'm just going to lateral lunge to my right side. Here, nice and low, and go back across. Just trying to get low as we can, keeping the feet flat, almost feeling very ninja-like. Side to side, keep this low. And to me, a lot of people, when they do this exercise, kind of slide back and forth, which there is that component to it. But when we're in the beginning phase of learning warm-ups, I like to let the dynamic load fall into each side as we go. And again, 6 to 8 reps, 6 to 8 reps. And to give you a side profile of what that looks like, so you can kind of see how my knees are and all that, I just drop my hips back, up, drop my hips back, up, and we're just going to go right and left, getting a nice, good position, good stretch throughout the inner thigh, throughout the hips, side to side. So now, let's add a little bit. So for this next one, especially for us if we have some tight shoulders, we'll take the club behind our back. And what this does, allows us to loosen up our shoulders. Any pain or discomfort when doing this, stop. But if it feels just tight and you feel like you could loosen it up and kind of get better, club goes behind the back. And all we want to do is just try to move those elbows as far forward as you can underneath. I'm just standing upright. Elbows go underneath as far as they can. And just keep rotating forward and back. Forward and back. External rotation to internal rotation. External to internal. Just like that. And then we can add it to our rotation. So from here, just nice turn. And when you get the elbows back like this, you'll notice there's a slight restriction to the thoracic area as you go because your scapula is just pinched together back here, which is good because that opens up the mobility of the shoulder. Just side to side. Just loosen that up. All right, we'll pick that up. Now from here, we can shrink this down. Now we're going to add that vertical part to it. And I like the right hand under like you would have a golf club, but more of like a hockey stick. And hockey players are, I mean, those are some really, really good athletes. And I've always heard that if you learn to swing a golf club like you swing a hockey stick and hit a hockey puck, you're actually better at getting your body through the shot here when you swing like a hockey stick. So from there, I added this to my warm-up, and I'm just going to take this back, nice, back, and to give you an idea from the side profile again, see how our lower body works into this. As I go back, I have a nice little lateral side bend. I'm going to let the lower body work. Back. Hands are relaxed. And just working some nice swings. I would advise doing the opposite side also. When you do the opposite side, you get that dynamic flexibility portion into the backswing that you don't always get into the through swing because you're always trying to finish that swing. So you're going to get more of a dynamic feel into that move. This way, when we go opposite side swinging, we get that part that we miss. And I'm speaking as a right-handed player. Left-handed players, just reverse that. So now I'm here, and I'm going to do my hockey swings. One more. Good. So that's going to be my hockey swings. Now, when I go into the next part, this is like an A-frame stretch or a modified A-frame. What I like to do to get the torso rotating feet wide. So over here, everybody has a different distances they can go in the width. So from this position, legs are locked, and we're going to drop our hips back. So my hips go back, my torso goes forward. I'm going to place my hands on the floor. With my hands on the ground, I'm just going to open up as wide as I can. Try to get my arm all the way up or even past 90 degrees, rotating my torso as far as I can. And again, side profile from that. So you can see how my hips drop back when I stretch. So from here, feet wide, feet flat. I'm going to offset everything by pushing my hips back and my torso going forward. Here, I can even go wider. Here, now my hands to the ground, trying to keep my back as flat as I can, opening each side as I go. Now I want to throw the next one in there as a modification to the one that we just did. For some people, it's just hard for that much of width between the feet, getting down to the ground. So what we do is the modified basic A-frame stretch. which a little bit wider than neutral. Start off with my right side stretching. So my left elbow will go inside my left knee. My left wrist will go inside my right knee. I'm going to press together lightly. And I'm just going to open up as wide as I can. Open. Just keep opening. Again, 6 to 8 range. Switch to the other side. If you need to rest in the lower body because you're kind of holding that position, stand up, shake the legs out a little bit, and then let's go back down. Right elbow inside right knee, right wrist inside left knee. Open up. And by pressing your knees into your arm, what that does is just locks the lower body into place. Those are some good exercises to get started with as you do your warm up. And it's good to get the body temperature up. Like right now, I have a light sweat going, as you could probably hear in my microphone, breathing a little bit heavily. But these are some great ways to start and get your warm up into it and give you a little bit of guidance plan for probably, you could knock all this out without me talking throughout this whole thing. Probably 8 minutes, maybe. If you really want to slow it down and really work through it, probably 10. But it pays dividends to get your body ready for athletic performance, and that's what golf is. And also, one of the first, I don't know if it's a adage or saying, but TPI said, we don't hit balls to warm up, we warm up to hit balls. It's an athletic movement. Some of us are, even at our drivers, we go from 0 to 100 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour in like the matter of a second. So we need to make sure that we're ready for that. And the better that we can move, the better positions that we can get into, the more our swing can evolve into what we want it to be versus what it is. So I hope you learned something from this. Like and subscribe on my channel. I just now started it. I'm adding some new stuff to it. Looking forward to adding some more.